In this video, we're going to go over the questions on page 128, 129, and 130. What do you think on page 128? What needs to be done after a typhoon hits? How could the government help? What are the responsibilities of neighbors toward each other after a natural disaster? After a typhoon, governments would have to make sure that people were safe and that the workers were trained and available to work. People would need to shelter if they would need shelter if their houses were destroyed, and food if the crops or grocery stores were destroyed. Neighbors would have to check on anyone they knew who might have trouble, such as elderly people or people with babies or young children. Graph skills on page 128. How can the government use the information in these graphs to make disaster plans? The government would realize in what months typhoons are likely to happen. So it would have more workers ready to help in case of a disaster, create dikes or replant trees where mudslides are likely to occur, and have emergency shelters ready and staffed. Map skills on 129. Why is there so little cropland in Japan? If you look at a map of physical features of Japan, it will show that there is very little prairie-type land in the country. The land is very hilly. Flat terraces have to be created and maintained to allow food crops to be planted. What do you think on page 130? Why do you think Japan, North Korea, and South Korea have to import many food products? Well, all the countries have large populations with limited land to use for food production, so they have to import food for their people to eat. Also, the oceans that used to supply adequate seafood have now been overfished.